Abzu. It's not like your typical game with enemies and objectives. You're just kind of existing, exploring. It's such a calming experience, you know? Well, the whole game is about diving into this beautiful underwater world, and I can't even explain how peaceful it feels. I remember the first time I booted it up. I was expecting something more traditional, but then you're just dropped into the water, and it's like, wow, the ocean in this game is seriously gorgeous. The art style, the colors, everything just pulls you in. You start swimming, and you can't help but just relax and enjoy the ride. It's almost like meditating. What really hit me was how connected I felt to the ocean. I know that sounds weird, but hear me out. As you explore, you interact with all kinds of marine life, from little fish to massive creatures. And it's not just about observing them. It feels like you're part of this underwater ecosystem. There's this sense of wonder and discovery that's hard to find in other games. I feel like the game is also about letting go of the need to constantly do something, you know? There's no rush, no time limit. It's just you, the ocean, and the journey. And honestly, that was refreshing. I usually play more intense games, but this game gave me this sense of calm that I didn't know I needed. There are moments where you'll be swimming, and something breathtaking happens. I don't want to spoil anything, but there are a few sequences that made me stop and say, wow. Like, it's one of those games where you'll pause just to take in the scenery. It's that beautiful. As dusk falls. This game isn't about flashy action or complex mechanics. It's about choices, ones that stick with you long after you've made them. As Dusk Falls invites you into a world where every decision has weight, every conversation matters, and every moment feels deeply personal. It's not just a game, it's an experience that challenges you to think about your actions and their consequences in a ways most games don't. The gameplay is centered around interactivity and storytelling. It's not about mastering difficult controls or fast reflexes. Instead, it's about navigating a web of choices that shape the narrative as you play. You aren't just watching events unfold, you're actively steering them. The game thrives on its ability to make you second guess, to wonder if what you did was the right call, or if there even was a right call to begin with. Quick decisions and thoughtful planning play equally important roles. Some moments push you to react in the heat of the moment, while others give you time to deliberate. This balance keeps the pacing engaging without ever feeling overwhelming. The game ensures that your choices are more than just binary yes or no answers. Each one feels layered, carrying implications that ripple outward into unexpected outcomes. The branching paths in As Dusk Falls are where the magic truly happens. It's not just about reaching an end, it's about how you get there. Every choice you make carves a unique path through the story. Mars attracts. Instead of running a traditional theme park, players are in charge of an amusement park designed specifically for Martians. The main attraction isn't roller coasters or Ferris wheels. It's abducted humans. The core of the gameplay revolves around building and managing a park that caters to Martian guests. There are different attractions to construct, staff to hire, and visitor needs to manage. Everything is designed to keep the Martians entertained while making sure the abducted humans stay contained. Balancing both sides is what makes the game interesting. There's a lot of freedom in designing different attractions and optimizing the park layout to maximize enjoyment for the visitors. Keeping the park fresh and exciting ensures a steady flow of Martian guests and revenue. One of the biggest challenges comes from managing the human exhibits. Unlike traditional park attractions, they have needs and might not always cooperate. If not handled properly, they could escape, creating problems that need to be dealt with quickly. This adds an extra layer of strategy to the game, making sure that both the visitors and the exhibits are accounted for. The setting itself brings new challenges not found in typical park management games. The Martian environment has hazards that impact park operations. Adapting to these conditions and finding ways to keep everything running smoothly is part of what keeps the experience engaging. The game captures the humor and charm of its inspiration. Deliver Us the Moon. It's a narrative-driven sci-fi thriller that's all about saving humanity. The Earth is in trouble, resources are gone, and humanity is on the brink. So naturally, what do? We look to the stars, and in this case, the moon. You're tasked with uncovering the mystery of a lunar base that's gone dark and figuring out what happened to a mission that was supposed to save the planet. Sounds simple, right? But let me tell you, it's anything but. You'll be fixing systems, figuring out how to progress through different areas, and piecing together what happened. It's more about problem solving than combat, and honestly, that's refreshing. Not every game needs to have an explosion every 5 minutes to keep you hooked. One thing I love is how interactive everything feels. You're not just running through corridors or pressing buttons at random. You're actually operating machinery, aligning satellites, and repairing systems in ways that feel grounded and realistic. It's immersive, and it keeps you engaged from start to finish. The game also does an amazing job of making you feel the stakes. Sure, it's set in space, but the issues it tackles, climate change, resource depletion, and humanity's survival, feel incredibly relevant. It's not just a game about saving the moon or even saving humanity. It's about making you think about how we got to this point and what we can do to prevent it. Another great thing? It's not overly long. You can experience the entire journey in a handful of hours, which means it doesn't overstay its welcome. Escape the Backrooms, a game that takes the internet's infamous urban legend and turns it into an unnervingly immersive survival experience. If you've ever heard about the Backrooms, those endless, yellow-tinted, eerily familiar yet disturbingly off-putting liminal spaces, then you already know this game is not messing around. At its core, Escape the Backrooms isn't just about wandering aimlessly through a strange environment. It's about working together, staying alert, and figuring out how to escape the madness. Every level is like its own twisted puzzle box, with new mechanics and challenges that force you to adapt and think on your feet. This isn't a game that holds your hand either. You're thrown in and expected to figure out the rules as you go. And trust me, the rules, they aren't always in your favor. What makes this game so unique is its unpredictability. Just when you think you've got the hang of it, the Backrooms throw something completely unexpected your way. 1 minute, you're carefully creeping through a corridor, and the next, you're scrambling to avoid something you'd really rather not get a closer look at. The tension is constant, but it's also what makes the game so thrilling. The cooperative aspect is a huge highlight here. If you play with friends, Escape the Backrooms becomes a whole new beast. You'll be strategizing, shouting directions, and sometimes panicking together as you try to navigate the labyrinthine levels. What's particularly clever about this game is how it uses its environment to mess with your head. Chivalry 2. It's one of those games that makes you feel like you're living out an epic battle scene from a medieval movie. Swords, shields, battle cries, it's all here. The first time I jumped in, I honestly didn't know what to expect. But within minutes, I was charging across a battlefield, screaming alongside other players, and it was just wild. The game really nails that feeling of being right in the middle of an all-out medieval brawl. And yeah, you might end up accidentally smacking a teammate. It happens. But that's just part of the chaos. What's cool is how each match has objectives, so it's not just a mindless hack and slash. You're pushing through enemy lines, defending castles, burning down villages. Each round feels like this mini-story playing out, where you really feel like you're fighting for your team. Sometimes it's about brute force, and other times it's about using strategy, whether you're sneaking around to flank the enemy or holding the line with your teammates. Plus, there are different classes to mess around with. If you're feeling like a tank, go for a knight with heavy armor and a big old shield. Want to be a sneaky archer who snipes from a distance? There's a class for that too. Each one brings a different flavor to the battle, and it's fun to mix things up and see what you like best. Personally, I love being the guy in the heavy armor with a huge hammer, just charging through crowds. And the best part? It never takes itself too seriously. You can tell the game is all about having a good time. It's chaotic, but in the best possible way, where every match feels like a blend of serious combat and just plain ridiculousness. Crime Boss, Rockay City. It's a first-person shooter with a focus on assembling your crew, planning jobs, and executing them with style. Think of it as a mix between a strategy game and an action-packed shooter, where every move you make can shift the balance of power in the city. The game revolves around taking control of Rockay City's criminal scene, and trust me, it's no small task. It's all about the crew. Building your team isn't just about grabbing the biggest guns. It's about finding the right personalities, the right skills, and making sure they can get the job done when things inevitably go sideways. And let's be real, in this game, things will go sideways. One moment, you're sneaking through a high-security vault, and the next, alarms are blaring, and all hell breaks loose. That's where your crew comes in. Whether they're picking locks, cracking safes, or holding off the cops while you make your escape. The shooting mechanics are tight, and the adrenaline rush of going head-to-head with rival gangs or outrunning law enforcement is something you'll feel every time you play. But what really sets it apart is how dynamic the gameplay feels. Every heist, every skirmish, every encounter feels like a high-stakes gamble. Do you go in guns blazing, or do you try to play it smart and quiet? The game lets you approach situations however you want, but Rocky City has a way of punishing overconfidence, so be ready to adapt. And then there's the strategy layer. This isn't just about being the best shot or pulling off flashy heists. It's about building a criminal empire from the ground up. Gothic 1 Remake. This is a game that pulls you straight into a gritty and harsh world where every choice feels like it matters, and survival is earned through careful exploration and understanding the rules of the land. It's all about navigating a brutal environment where danger is a constant companion, and alliances can shape your journey. The setting is layered and alive, with a focus on immersion that draws you into its unforgiving world. Every part of the environment feels handcrafted, whether it's the dangerous wilderness, the imposing camps, or the secretive corners waiting to be uncovered. It's not just a map to traverse, but a world to conquer, one step at a time. Combat is a key part of the experience, built on timing, strategy, and progression. The game doesn't hand you power on a silver platter. It makes you earn it through persistence and practice. Fights are engaging because they reward preparation and clever tactics over brute force, making every victory feel like a real accomplishment. Character interaction is a standout feature. The people you meet aren't just static NPCs. They have roles, motivations, and their own way of dealing with the challenges of the world. Conversations and decisions open up opportunities, alliances, or conflicts, and it's all tied into how you choose to navigate the social dynamics of this rugged environment. Exploration is where the game shines. It encourages you to look beyond the obvious, venturing into areas that might seem too dangerous at first. The reward for curiosity. Flintlock. The game gives you these beautifully satisfying moments where you're flipping between close-quarters melee combat and ranged precision with your pistol. And then, just when you're getting comfortable, it says, "Oh, by the way, here's your mystical fox companion. Go nuts." That's right, you've got a loyal partner with supernatural powers. And let me tell you, combining your moves with theirs makes you feel like a tactical genius. What really sets Flintlock apart is how it handles exploration and combat flow. You're not just running from one fight to the next. There's this constant push and pull of figuring out your strategy. Enemies aren't dumb here. They'll keep you on your toes with their variety and aggression. So you're always thinking, okay, do I dive in with my axe, take a few shots from a distance, or let my fox buddy do the heavy lifting? Every encounter feels dynamic, like the game is daring you to get creative. And speaking of the world, no spoilers, of course, but Flintlock nails that sense of scale and challenge. The game throws you into this sprawling battlefield, where it feels like every corner holds some hidden threat or opportunity. You'll stumble into enemy strongholds and think, how am I even supposed to survive this? And yet, when you do, you'll feel like a complete legend. The satisfaction of taking down a tough enemy or figuring out how to use the environment to your advantage? Chef's kiss. Oh, and I've got to mention the progression system. Flintlock does this cool thing where it rewards you for experimenting. Small end. If you've ever wondered what it's like to see the world through the eyes of something small, really small, this game gives you that experience in the most thrilling way possible. Think of it as an adventure where the everyday turns extraordinary and survival feels like a grand, miniature-scale journey. You're basically thrown into a massive world, but here's the catch. You're tiny. And by tiny, I mean everything around you, plants, animals, weather, feels monumental. You'll find yourself navigating through towering blades of grass and braving massive storms that feel like apocalyptic events because, to you, they kind of are. Survival here isn't just about fighting off the wildlife, though that's definitely part of it. It's about understanding your surroundings and making the best of what nature throws at you. You'll forage for resources, craft tools, and build shelters, all while keeping an eye on your hunger, stamina, and health. Bugs and critters aren't just background details. They're your neighbors, your enemies, and sometimes even your allies. Each creature has its own behavior, and figuring out how to coexist or defend yourself feels like a constant puzzle that keeps you on your toes. The crafting and building in Small End are a big highlight. Everything you create feels purposeful, whether it's a cozy little shelter to hide from the rain or a piece of gear that helps you traverse a tricky part of the environment. You start to really appreciate the world in a way you wouldn't in other games. Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden. This game takes you on a truly unique adventure through a post-apocalyptic world, where instead of the usual gritty survivors or battle-hardened soldiers, you get to play as mutants. And not just any mutants, we're talking a giant talking duck and a grumpy boar. Yeah, it's that kind of game. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but at the same time, it manages to deliver a really gripping experience with a ton of heart. So, here's the basic setup. Earth has pretty much gone to ruins, and now you're part of a group called Stalkers, who venture out from this safe haven called the Ark to scavenge supplies, fight off hostiles, and, of course, hunt for answers about what happened to the world. And the Ark? It's this quirky home base where you can upgrade your gear, stock up on supplies, and pick up a few quirky pieces of info about the world. The game has this dark, mysterious vibe, but it's always balanced by the witty, sometimes snarky banter between your characters. It's got this awesome mix of turn-based strategy and exploration. If you're into games like XCOM, you'll feel right at home here, but with a few twists. Instead of just jumping into every fight guns blazing, Mutant Year Zero really pushes you to think strategically. You can sneak around, scope out enemies, and set up the perfect ambush. When you're exploring, you'll find yourself checking out every corner to spot enemies or snag some valuable loot. Plus, each character has unique abilities you can use in combat. Dux, for instance, has some great ranged Chained Together, a co-op platformer that redefines teamwork. Imagine starting in the depths of hell, literally chained to your friends, with one goal: climb to freedom. The game offers multiple modes to suit different playstyles. In beginner mode, a handy option in the pause menu lets you teleport back to the highest point, reached before a significant fall, easing newcomers into the mechanics. Normal mode removes this safety net, requiring players to start over after a fall, intensifying the challenge. For those seeking an adrenaline rush, Lava mode adds a rising lava threat, pushing teams to climb quickly or face engulfment, whether you're playing solo or with up to 4 players in local multiplayer. Chained Together adapts seamlessly. The chain isn't just a visual element, it's a dynamic part of the gameplay that can both hinder and help, depending on your team's coordination. The game also features leaderboards, allowing you to track your escape speeds and compare completion times across different player configurations, adding a competitive edge to your cooperative efforts. It's a chaotic adventure where teamwork is as much a challenge as the puzzles themselves. There's no doubt this one is worth your time and your wallet. Sales aren't rare, and when they roll around, the discount is usually generous enough to make you think twice about waiting. Even without a deal, this game is a solid investment. It's all about working together, and sometimes failing hilariously, which makes every dollar feel well spent. Unknown 9: Awakening. It's about the idea that we as humans are capable of so much more than we know, that hidden powers or deeper connections might just be waiting to be unlocked. In Unknown 9, you get to explore that concept in ways that feel both grounded and extraordinary. You play as Haruna, someone who isn't just uncovering the mysteries of the world around her, but also the mysteries within herself. There's a constant sense of what if woven into the gameplay, and it doesn't let go. The narrative invites you to question everything, to peek behind the curtain of reality, and to lean into the unknown. One of the most striking things about Unknown 9 is how much it respects your intelligence as a player. This isn't a game that spoon-feeds you answers or drags you along by the hand. Instead, it encourages curiosity. It's like the developers knew we all had that kid in us, the one who used to ask why 1,000 times a day. Playing this game feels like rediscovering that mindset. You're solving puzzles, sure, but it's more than that. You're unraveling layers, piecing together clues that challenge your perception of what's possible. The gameplay mechanics are an experience in themselves. You're not just running and jumping through obstacles. You're engaging with an ability called Fold. It's a unique system that lets you interact with the unseen, literally bending reality in a way that feels incredibly satisfying. And no, I'm not going to tell you exactly how it works. That's for you to uncover. The Thaumaturge. It's not just another RPG. It's a deep, thoughtful experience with a twist. The power of thaumaturgy. And no, that's not just a fancy word for magic. It's something way cooler. It's about tapping into forces that go beyond the natural world. Forces that are strange, powerful, and sometimes downright unsettling. As a thaumaturge, you have the unique ability to interact with these forces and summon beings called salators, creatures that are as fascinating as they are unpredictable. These aren't your standard fireball-throwing spells or sword-swinging summons. Salators feel alive, almost sentient, and they add this wild, untamed energy to everything you do. The gameplay is all about choices, how you use your powers, how you interact with the world, and how you deal with the situations thrown at you. And let me tell you, the game doesn't shy away from challenging you to think. Every decision feels meaningful, and the consequences, they're real. You'll quickly learn that being a thaumaturge isn't just about wielding power. It's about balancing it, understanding it, and sometimes fearing it. Combat in the game has this really unique flavor. It's tactical, but it's also personal. You're not just throwing attacks around willy-nilly. You're using your saluters in ways that feel strategic and, honestly, really clever. Each saluter has its own abilities and quirks, and figuring out how to use them effectively is like solving a puzzle during every battle. Unrecord, a game that flips the script on the FPS genre and gives you something truly unique, the perspective of a body camera. It's raw, immersive, and, honestly, unlike anything you've ever played before. What sets Unrecord apart right away is how it feels. You're not a bulletproof action hero here. You're a professional, and that changes everything. The game leans heavily into realism, so you'll be clearing rooms, piecing together clues, and making split-second decisions that could shift the entire scenario. It's intense, but in the best way possible. Every corner could hide a potential threat, and every movement matters. Do you take the risk of moving in fast, or do you hang back and assess the situation? It's that constant balancing act that keeps you engaged. One thing you'll notice is how the game forces you to slow down and think. This isn't about spraying bullets and hoping for the best. It's about precision. You'll find yourself analyzing the environment, listening for subtle cues, and trying to outsmart whoever or whatever you're up against. It's the kind of gameplay that rewards patience and sharp instincts. What's really cool about Unrecord is the attention to detail. It's not just about the action. It's about the tension. From the way you approach a scene to how you decide to engage, everything feels deliberate. You're not just playing a game, you're stepping into a situation, and that immersion is what makes it so unique. The realism, the intensity. It's like stepping into a whole new world. Pacific Drive. It's not your typical driving game. Imagine a survival road trip with a seriously supernatural twist. You're behind the wheel, cruising through the mysterious and frankly eerie landscapes of the Pacific Northwest. And every trip feels like this unique blend of exploration, suspense, and the kind of curiosity that makes you say, what if I just drove a little further? So let's set the scene. You're in this old, beaten-up station wagon that's basically your best friend and home on wheels. And let me just say, this car isn't just a vehicle, it's practically a character. You're out there facing wild, unexplainable phenomena, and your car is right there with you, chugging along through storms, strange anomalies, and all kinds of supernatural hazards. You'll end up feeling like you're in this together, keeping it running with whatever you can find out there. Then there's the whole survival aspect. The cool thing is, you're not a superhero here. You're a regular person dealing with a very irregular situation, and the game really leans into that. You're scavenging for parts, fixing up your car, and trying to stay one step ahead of whatever the environment throws at you. It's got this real DIY vibe, where you're constantly tinkering with your ride, patching things up with duct tape and spare parts. There's something super satisfying about it, because each little upgrade or repair you make feels hard-earned. And since you don't know what you're going to face next, every tweak to your car feels like you're prepping for the unknown. And of course, the game has a way of making you care about that rusty car. Werewolf the Apocalypse. This game dives headfirst into the savage world of werewolves and delivers an experience that's unapologetically primal. You step into the role of Kahal, a Garou, a warrior werewolf who fights for his pack and the environment against a soulless corporation bent on exploiting nature. It's not just about claws and fangs, it's about rage, redemption, and unleashing your inner beast. The gameplay revolves around 3 core forms that Kahal can shift between: human, wolf, and werewolf. Each form has its purpose, and switching between them is as seamless as it is essential. In human form, you can blend in, interact with the environment, and handle situations that require a more subtle approach. The wolf form is all about stealth and agility, letting you sneak past enemies or scout areas undetected. And then there's the Krynos form, the hulking, feral werewolf that turns every fight into an explosive display of raw power. Combat in Krynos form is where the game truly shines. It's fast, brutal, and completely satisfying. You're not just swiping at enemies, you're ripping through them with precision and fury. The game encourages you to experiment with different attack combos and strategies, making each battle feel dynamic. It's not just about brute force either. Timing, positioning, and knowing when to unleash your special abilities all play a part in turning the tide of battle. The Devil in Me. It's an interactive horror game where you're guiding a group of characters through an increasingly tense and creepy situation. Think of it as a blend of decision-making, exploration, and survival, with just enough room for you to question whether you made the right call or the worst mistake of your life. What makes this game so unique is its emphasis on player choice. The decisions you make feel immediate and impactful, and the ripple effects can turn even the smallest choice into something massive later on. That constant sense of what if keeps you on edge the whole time. Exploration is another big piece of the puzzle here. The environments are packed with little details, and combing through them often reveals clues, items, or paths you might have missed otherwise. But the game isn't just going to let you wander around in peace. There's always this lingering sense that something or someone might be just out of sight. It creates this incredible push-pull of curiosity versus caution. Do you dig deeper into that ominous room, or do you back away slowly and hope for the best? The game also brings in some clever mechanics to spice things up. You're not just walking around and making choices. You're solving puzzles, engaging in quick-time events, and trying to stay calm under pressure. And those moments of action feel so visceral because the stakes are constantly high. One misstep, and things can take a very dark turn. What really stands out about The Devil in Me, though, is how it captures that classic horror tension. Rise of the Ronin. If you've ever wanted to step into the shoes of a samurai in a world at the crossroads of history, then this game is going to blow your mind. Right away, you're thrown into 19th century Japan, an era filled with massive change, where tradition and modernization are colliding. It's like being part of a living, breathing history lesson, only with swords, epic battles, and this incredible atmosphere that just pulls you in. The combat is where it truly shines. It's got that classic samurai swordplay feel. But there's a modern twist too. It's all about timing, precision, and making every strike count. When you're in the heat of battle, you feel this rush of intensity. But what's even cooler is that you also have firearms at your disposal, which brings this unique balance between traditional and new. So you're not just relying on your katana. You're adapting and making use of everything around you. Plus, if you're into exploration, there's so much to find. There are side quests and hidden details that flesh out the world, rewarding you for going off the main path and just taking your time. It's the kind of game that encourages you to slow down, appreciate the world, and really immerse yourself in the experience. Beyond the battles, Rise gives you these powerful story moments that make you feel connected to the people and the history of the era. You're not just a fighter, you're a part of the world's story, shaping events as they unfold. The choices you make feel impactful, and there's this sense of weight to each decision. Agony. The gameplay centers around exploration, problem-solving, and staying one step ahead of the many horrors that surround you. As you make your way through this chaotic world, the game constantly challenges your instincts. It's not just about what you see, but also how you approach each situation. You're given tools to manipulate the environment, outwit your enemies, and carve a path forward in a place that doesn't seem to want you there. One of the standout features is the way the game emphasizes stealth and strategy. Charging headfirst into trouble isn't going to work here. You have to think carefully, figure out patterns, and use the tools at your disposal to overcome the obstacles in your way. This isn't a game that hands you a clear solution on a silver platter. It's all about trial and error, pushing you to adapt and learn as you go. The world itself is the real star here. Every corner feels like it's hiding something new, something unexpected. You'll find yourself looking at every little detail, trying to figure out what's safe, what's dangerous, and what's just downright bizarre. There's a sense of constant unease, not in a way that feels overwhelming, but in a way that keeps you engaged, constantly questioning how you're going to tackle the next challenge. What really makes Agony stand out is how interactive everything feels. The environment isn't just a backdrop, it's an active part of the gameplay. You're solving puzzles that feel like they're integrated into the world itself, piecing together how to move forward